Good morning, traders. I'm Dennis Dick.
And I'm Joel Alconin. Welcome to Thursday's edition of Pre-Market Info.
Well, it looks like we've got a deal here. The S&P futures actually selling off a little bit. I think they rallied enough knowing the deal was coming. We're at 1710 right now here this morning, down 3 points. We've been as low as 1706 overnight, but we're holding up pretty good.
Yeah, the close 13 and a quarter, 3 points away from there. So that's going to be your first minor resistance point. 1717 Wednesday's high. We'll keep an eye on that. Coming on the downside here, Dennis. I mean, with IBM down 11
I
points, 10,
know.
11
Wow.
points. Man, they can only get these spoos down three. I mean, what's going on with that?
Well, they've had some good earnings too. This Verizon was good this morning, and you've got UNH, which, well, actually UNH is down too, I guess now. So you did it wasn't all bad news, but yeah, let's go straight to the IBM chart because wow, it is absolutely destroyed here after hours, destroyed in the pre-market. It's at 172.90 right now, down a cool $13. Just an incredible move here for IBM. The numbers $3.68, but then if you adjust it, they actually were $3.99 versus $3.96. They actually did beat by 3 cents, but 23.72 billion versus 24.75 billion. So a huge revenue miss. Not looking good for IBM longs today.
Oh boy! Now the question is when's Warren going to come in and buy some more? Right, right. That's what
Warren's not a
everyone's
happy
waiting
boy
for.
here today on these numbers. Wow.
We just made a new low here, 172.60, getting a little bit of a reprieve here, trading up just off that level.
Yeah.
Haven't seen a move at IBM like this in quite a long time.
Yeah.
Let's see if the weeklies will do us anything. Well, the weeklies tell you that we took out this 180 level, and that's been only holding up as support for the last 2 years. So longer term, I'm sure it needs to get back above that 180 level. To find support here, Dennis, you got to go way, way, way back here.
2011.
Yep. 160. Well, you had a low at 168.88 going back in October of 2011, and another low right around the 170 area. I guess if you're trying to pick some bottoms here, if you get through the pre-market low, 170 just kind of sticking out like a number, a nice round number like that. So keeping an eye on the pre-market low, 172.60. You know that there's going to have to be some kind of a rip your face off rally though at some point in this thing. So if you're playing it off on the long side, 176 has been holding up as resistance here really since the initial plunge. So I'm keeping an eye on 172.60. We'll probably be taken out before the show's over. And 176, if you're trying to pick a bottom here off the open, use that as a resistance point.
Also reporting American Express last night. Their earnings actually not bad. $1.25 versus $1.21. 8.3 billion versus 8.22 billion. And the stock was trading up after hours on the initial report, just on light volume. Very light volume here again this morning. It's trading at 76.95 right now, so it is looking like it could open up 40 or 50 cents.
Yeah, 77.47 pre-market high though. We've coming back here to just settle in at 76.40. American Express, the stock has had a nice rally here. Let's see if we can find some resistance here. Looking at the activity from yesterday, we got up to 76.75, so that coincides with the pre-market high. We'll keep an eye on that level. Also kind of sticking out like a sore thumb is the 77 high that you had, 77 even on the 26th of September. So running into some resistance here. I think you'll find some sellers even if you get above that 77 level, between 77 and 78. And just think, 5 trading sessions ago, the stock hit 72.
Putting more pressure here on the Dow is Goldman Sachs. Their earnings this morning, they were really good on the bottom line, $2.88 versus analyst estimates of 243, but a major revenue miss here. 6.72 billion versus 7.36 billion. They are raising the quarterly dividend to 55 cents from 50 cents, so there's some good things here. But some comments here. It's seeing slow client activity. That doesn't sound good. And stock obviously down $4 here in the pre-market. So Goldman Sachs knocking some points off the Dow too. Maybe they're regretting putting Goldman in there all of a sudden.
Spiked down to 157.22. Got a nice little pop up here to 160 after that. So those are your parameters from the last half hour.
Look at this dailies, though. Look, there's almost a quadruple bottom here when you zoom in here, Joel. I know you're looking out a little bit too far there, but if you zoom in, 1, 2, 3, 4, we had a 157.52 bottom on the 11th. Then on the 14th, 157.50, 157.51, and what's the other one there? 157. I'm trying to grab them.
52, 51, and 50.
Yeah, they're all right there. So call that major support here. And we almost got down there in the pre-market. Couldn't quite get to that level, but that's probably the first area where you do find definitely probably going to be a few buyers down there.
Yeah, you did. You did get down to Dennis. Believe it or not, you did get down to 57 and a quarter.
Oh, you did take it out a little
57.22, and then people woke up and smelled the coffee and started coming in at 57.50 level. So definitely would be a target for the shorts to do some covering or potential buyers coming in to scoop up the stock off the 170 high that we had in the middle of September.
A lot of other financial stocks moving down here. Morgan Stanley obviously moving down in sympathy with Goldman Sachs. It closed near a high yesterday. 28.63 was breaking out, and obviously now looking weaker here, trading down at 28 and a quarter on Morgan Stanley.
Haven't looked at the Mo chart here, Morgan Stanley, in a while here. Let's take a look at the pre-market. Trading at 28 and a quarter. Looking at the daily, I mean, these stocks have had nice runs. When do they report? Next week, I believe?
It might be even tomorrow. I didn't write it down. I know they report real soon. It might even be tomorrow. So
got 28.13. We're only 12 cents away from that, so that was yesterday's low. I look for that as a minor support here. If you rally back near the close, 28.63, I think you have to get out ahead of that, maybe 28.50, 28.55. To catch it on a little bit of a pop. Below that 28.13 level, Dennis, little bit of room here down to the 27.78 levels. So if this Goldman news is going to drag down Morgan Stanley here, could get under 28. And then the real support that I like, maybe won't quite hit it today, is the double bottom 27.50 to 27.60. Those were your lows last Friday and Monday.
It is indeed tomorrow with the earnings for Morgan Stanley. So had a little run up ahead of that, and obviously Goldman knocking it back down here this morning. UNH also trading down here in the pre-market. 153 versus 152. A lot of pressure on the Dow here, so S&P's holding up, but if you go and look at the Dow futures, they're down quite a bit more actually, because all these major components, it's just been a disaster for those 30 stocks. It seems like UNH 153 versus 152, 30.62 billion versus 30.83 billion. So it's the revenue miss that's knocking the stock down here. $73 is where it's trading at, so it's down $2.
Right, made a low at 72.55 and getting a little pop up here to 73. So that 73 is going to be a minor resistance point. Taking a look at the dailies here, the stock has had a nice run, had a bit of consolidation here. I don't really see anything to support that 72.50 low. I mean, you have to look at the dailies. You did have breaking through that double bottom here at 73.50, so I'll use that as a resistance point. Don't see a lot of good support here until you get under 72 to 71.84. Still $1 and a quarter away from there, so I'd keep an eye on that level. Coming back on the upside, 74.38 was yesterday's low. Might not see that. Maybe if you're trying to buy this thing off the open, throw something out at like 73.99 or so to step ahead of those 74 sellers.
Keep an eye on the other stocks in the sector like Aetna, AET, like CI is another one, Humana, HUM. All those stocks probably will have a little bit of sympathy move here with the UNH weak sales numbers. Verizon.
Wait, just real quickly, this AT&T, look at this consolidation
AET,
in this. Yeah, holy mackerel. I mean, if this thing gets anywhere near that $64 level. That should be major support.
There's actually a pretty good channel when you're just looking at that. 66 has been the area where it's got to on the
Yeah.
upside, 64 on the downside. So there's your channelingstocks.com play for the day. If you get down there in the low 64s, probably find a few buyers. Again, I don't know if it's got enough gas to get there though. Verizon also reported earnings here this morning, and they were good. 77 cents versus 75. They beat on the top line as well. 300 or 30.28 billion versus 30.17 billion. Stock is trading up over $1 right now at 48.40 here in the pre-market. Went out at 47 and a quarter.
Oh, here's one of your thick stocks making a huge
Yeah,
move in the
yeah.
pre-market, getting up
48.99.
near that
Whoa.
$49 level. Uh, Boy, we hit 48.83. You had a high in that issue on September 18th. Well, I just look at that. Use the whole 48.90, 48.80 level up to 49 here, at least in the early trading, is major resistance. Not often do you see a stock like Verizon move up over a buck 15. So
It's a
I'm
big
just
move.
yeah, big move. I mean, there is some volume associated with it, but
210,000.
yeah, boy, I tell you, that just something to me, that 49 level from the pre-market, I think that might
That
hold.
looks thick. AT&T getting a little bit of a sympathy move. It's up 18 cents here with the Verizon numbers as well. The big, huge resistance is up a lot further in AT&T, and that's up at 35. Maybe Joel can find something a little bit closer for you though.
It's been having, yeah. Look at all these lows here. I haven't looked at this stock in a
Yeah,
while
a lot
since
of
it dropped out of
consolidation.
the, yeah, since it dropped out of the Big Ten. But you are getting a move here over 34 and a quarter, and really that's been the high since October 7th here. So I'd keep an eye. If it opens up and then comes back down to that 34 and a quarter level, then wouldn't be too happy with it. Coming back on the downside, multiple lows and from 33.58 to 75. So the stock's been range bound. Let's see if the Verizon news can get it up and going.
eBay also reported earnings there last night. It's getting whacked here too. It's down 6% right now, down over $3. The revenue is kind of in line. The earnings were kind of in line. The guidance on Q4 was a little bit light, 79 cents to 81 cents. The analyst estimates are up at 83. So they've whacked this thing back down to the $50 level again. It seems like every time this gets down to 50, it'll eventually start to climb back up to 56, and then sells back up to 50, back up to over 56. Now we're back down to 50 again. There's your accordion trade there, Joel. Probably trading back down
Making
here
new lows. Yep. Yep.
$50.20. But look at that chart when you look at that daily. That $50 has been huge on this. I mean, that's the area it needs to hold for the bulls to keep in charge here, and for this range to keep in play as well.
Yeah, you're right here. I think this last little dipsy doodle was after earnings too.
Yeah, I think so it was.
Yeah.
Sense a
Yep, and now
pattern
it's
for me. I better
battling
sell
back.
that thing before the earnings next time.
Yeah, mental note.
Yeah.
But this $50 level, as you mentioned, Dennis, is held up. I mean, you did have a 49.62 low back in August, but I mean, you got to respect all those lows. Bottom off there a few times. It's down 3.23 or 3.25 points. So just melting down to that $50 level. I'll use that as support. And then looking at trying to find resistance is tricky on these things when they're down so much.
I'd look at
So I
that
like
whole
to,
50. Well, 52 is a ways away, but that's where you had a little bit of consolidation there, and that's where you had a bottom at 52.09 back on October 9th. So if they decide to start really buying it, I think you get into the high 51s. Those sellers will probably re-emerge, but I don't know. I don't know if it's going to do that here or not, because it's been a slow, steady decline here. A lot of volume trade here too, 469,000. I don't think it's got enough gas to get back up to that level.
yeah, I'll look at this 51.50 level. That's kind of where it early this morning when Dennis was up trading it. That's where it kind of consolidated a little bit before it had its last little plunge down to 50.17.
Let's look at a couple other ones here. SanDisk, SNDK. They're breaking out to new highs here this morning on their report. $1.59 versus $1.31, so blew the numbers away. Beat on the revenue too. Increased sales guidance for Q4. Needham and Company upgrading the stock here. Strong buy. Sees 40% upside to SanDisk, so they're jumping all over this one, saying we love this stock. My buddy Chris, I know he's been bullish this for a long time. We'll give him a shout out here because he's pretty happy this morning too with his SanDisk making new highs.
$67 what it hit in the pre-market, got a little bit pullback up to 66.65. This stock had really struggled back at the $64 area in July, and also struggled at the $64 area again in June. Now here we are, we're busting above those levels. Dennis will tell you it's a breakout to just keep going. I will tell you that 67, if I owned it, I'd be laying out some stock there.
Anyways, if it pulls back to that 64 level, might give you another shot here because we had a lot of consolidation in after hours trading just above 64. That's also obviously where the level, the old high was. So if you subscribe to the theory, old resistance becomes new support. Maybe if it pulls back to 64 level, maybe you could get a shot to try it on the long side. We'll have to see if that can materialize or not.
Let me see if I can pull something out here. Yeah, 66.99 back in February of 2006.
Holy cow! So we're going to multi-year, 7-year highs here on SanDisk. Wow.
So if you're scaling out of your position, you sell more at 67, and it goes up to 67.99, and maybe you want to sell a little bit more.
Congratulations to the guy who bought this in 2007 at $5.07. He's pretty happy right now too, if he's still in. One more here. Maybe your loser stock of the day. Falling flat is Select Comfort here. The mattress maker not very comfortable this morning. Down $6.20, down a cool 25%. Kicking myself on this one. I was looking at puts on it because I know these mattress makers, when they miss big time. I did not buy the puts. I wish I would have. SCSS is the symbol on this one, and it is down $6 at $18 right now. Wow.
What are people using waterbeds or something? I mean, look at this chart here.
They're not into comfort, at least not Select Comfort.
Got down to 1726 here, and then it's looking at that pre-market pattern here. Just when you see something that a big drop like that, and then you see that kind of consolidation here, look for it to be support during the regular session as well. Have got it back up to 1798, so that $18 level is going to be a minor resistance point. Going back on the weeklies here to try and find some support
March 8th,
in this
you had
issue.
1662, and then you had another one at 1674 on April 19th, so the week of April 19th. So you did have a couple of lows here in the 16 handle. That's another buck down from here, but I just watched this thing fall 6. It could fall another buck too. You always want to remember too, like numbers like 1750. They're relevant because that's where the strike prices are on the options. So anybody that has those options, that's where they might be, squaring off positions at as well. So you always want to keep in mind when these things are falling like this, look at where the strike prices are on the various options. And 17 and 50 is another one.
Okay, I just the way that pre-market pattern looks here, I just don't think I think if it does get back down to that level again, I just expect it to be. I mean, now we're at 74 cents off the low, so I think the low could be in here in this issue.
Tempur-Pedic having a sympathy move here too, falling a little bit flat here this morning as well. TPX is the symbol, TPX, and 3778 is where TPX. Sorry. Not the TBX.
TPX.
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, Joe. Get those symbols right. We talk about.
Where do they get these symbols for these men? We did hit. I should have gotten that one. 36 hit in the pre-market on the initial news, but that's kind of floated back up here, almost back into yesterday's range. So if you're looking for a sympathy play here, you got some Lisa stocks coming back up for it.
Let's try and bet. It's
Yeah,
got
let's
good
look at
support
what.
down there at 36 bucks. That's right where it bottomed. Is that where you said it bottomed in the pre-market at 36?
Yeah.
These levels
Yep.
work. Like this level's working on this one. Back on August 19th and August the 20th, you had a double bottom at 36.12 and at 36.16, and that's the level they've defended here. That's where, and it was even more than that in that double bottom when you go to the dailies. Had 1, 2, 3, 4 lows, 36.31, 36.37. So lower 36s, buyers seem to be all over the place in this one. Right in here, you're trading in a lot of air. Moving on, I just want to talk about gold here. It's a crazy rally for gold this morning. We are strong, maybe on the deal, but we're up $35 right now. Holy cow, that's a big rally for gold. 1317 is where we're trading, so we're back up over the 1300 level. 3 days ago, we kissed 1250. Gold bulls back in charge here a little bit. A 1300 number is held.
Yeah, a little bit of clamoring about the U.S. debt being downgraded, a few rumors of things like that. So that has people rushing into the bullion here. Look, it did sneak over 1320 here, and that was an area of support for quite a while. Got up to 1322.90 now, trading back down under that level. So if it does get back into that 1320 handle, I expect some sellers. That's really been a good level. Going back, if you want to look for resistance above this 2280 high, you don't have to go very far, Dennis, because on the 9th we had a high at 2330. So real good resistance here between 20 and 23. And if things get real crazy, a double top at 1329.50 to 1330.80. Gold, which is always known to have wild, intraday moves as well as overnight moves. If you are playing this thing long here, since you hit that 22.90 high, you've had a little bit of a pullback, really to like the 13.15 area, 13.14. So if you're trying to lock in some gains at and just below 13.14, you could see some of those gains erode.
Google reports tonight, and the stock got up to critical resistance again, closed almost on the highs. 890, 833 is where it got up to yesterday. Now trading down at 892. So again, looking at this Google, every time it gets down to that 845 area, it bounces. Every time it seems to get up and sniff over 900, it sells off. Well, not foreshadowing here or anything, but usually you have 30 or 40 point moves on Google earnings. So I mean, if the earnings are disappointing, support down there is well defined, and that's a long ways lower. If they're obviously good, then you'd start to look up at those highs that we made back in July in the 928 area. But intraday trading today, where do you think Google's heading?
We are trading down here a little bit in the pre-market here, so down 6 sticks. I think ahead of earnings, you just got this 6 day rally off the 850 level. How come when it gets to 850, I look at the 800 puts and I don't look at the 900
Yeah,
calls?
come on, you got to think
know?
that's support until it's
I
broken.
know, and it's just like a couple times down there, and it's just I'm looking for that vacuum washout through the 850 level.
Doesn't happen.
I'd like to see if this thing got back. I'd like to see it rally back up to near the high between 895 and 900, and then maybe take a little bit of a flyer here on some out of the money puts. But long term, man, this 850 level has just been a rock. It's been holding up for several months. You did sneak below it, kind of faked people out. That was just 5-6 sessions ago that we got down to
842.9.
Yeah, so still using that 845 level as support.
S&P futures are drifting down slowly here. We're down 4.5 now. We started the show, we were only down 1.5, so we lost 3 points in the last 20 minutes here. S&P futures, as long as they hold above 1700, the bulls are still in charge here, and my bet looks still good with Joel. Below 1700, I'd start to get nervous though.
Well, what happened is that all the analysts and all the trading desks came on. They listened to pre-market info, and they heard about all the negative earnings and everything. So then they go out and start hitting the futures. I'm going to be a little bit more cautious than you, Dennis. You're going to let things ride another 9 points here to 1700. I think we get below the overnight low, 1706 and a quarter. I think we're going to get a nice little ride here to the downside. I mean, IBM traded down like that. Goldman Sachs traded down like that. Google trading down $6. I mean, there has to be some kind of spillover into the futures markets.
That's our show for today, guys. We'll be back tomorrow with GE earnings, Morgan Stanley, and a host of others.
Oh,
And we'll be discussing the Google report from tonight, too. Talk to you tomorrow.